The Atlanta Braves defeated the red-hot Cleveland Guardians by a score of 11-5. So let's talk about it right now. And we're actually going to get this started not in the first or second or third or fourth inning even, not even the fifth. Because we're going to start this in the most logical place of all, in the bottom of the sixth inning. So, in the bottom of the sixth, that is where this game was decided. It's a 6-run game, and Atlanta scored 6 in the bottom of the sixth. And I talked about it on the podcast with Jonathan yesterday. I said, statistics show that Atlanta is getting incredibly unlucky with the long ball, especially 3 hitters. Ronald Acuna Jr. is the statistically unluckiest. Right behind him, Michael Harris II. And then, even though he's had a really good season, the long ball has eluded him a little bit. Not as much recently, but still considered unlucky for the amount of times he's hitting high fly balls hard. Matt Olson. And in the sixth inning, all 3 of them, homer, started out with Acuna with a solo shot, and they say that this one only went 411 feet, which I say only because it was the shortest home run of this game. But Acuna, the way the camera tracked it, I thought that Acuna cleared the stadium. I thought he hit it out onto the concourse there in Truist, right out of the left center wall there, over the left center wall there. I thought he cleared the concourse. And that was on a 2-2 count. Gets a 69-mile-per-hour fastball. I've thrown that exact same pitch to my buddies playing blitzball before, and it had a very similar result. So, can't throw it to a big league hitter, especially not of one of the caliber of Ronald Acuna Jr. And even though he's been slumping a little bit, that should get him back on track. He had a good night tonight outside of the home run as well. That brought up Matt Olson. So Drake Baldwin was able to reach, and Matt Olson on a 3-0 count. If I remember correctly, Baldwin either walked or he did just slap this in to center field. So how about I tell you right now? Because, yeah, Baldwin singled. That's what I thought. I couldn't remember. Baldwin had a walk in this game and a single. So Baldwin singled, got on base. Olson saw 3 straight balls and said, you know what? I'm going to turn on one. And he puts one on top of the chop house. 111.6 off the bat, 441. And something about Olson. He's heating up right now. He's kind of reminding you why exactly you traded for him and gave up Shea Langeliers, who's, having the second best catching season right now for any catcher in Major League Baseball. Matt Olson, this is, I think, 3 home runs in 3 games now for Matty O. And he's just having a good time. If you look at his Savant page, that's a lot of red. 99th percentile fielder, 94th percentile with his bat. So he is doing everything you want a player to do. 4 homers so far this year, but he is just launching it. Like I said, statistically still getting unlucky. So that's a scary thought for when he gets going. So yeah, 93rd percentile in his barrel percentage. His expected slugging is supposed to be 490. So right now his slugging percentage is not quite that. So very good day for Matt Olson. Michael Harris, I said, if you look at the underlying metrics, and I go back and forth between trusting analytics, trusting the eye test, kind of playing momentum. Baseball's such a weird game. That's why I love it so much. It's a nerd's game, but it's also this old school kind of thing that you have to grapple with of how much does momentum matter. Well, this is what the analytics say. Well, this is what we've always done. And Michael Harris has not had a good start to the season statistically. He just hasn't. He's made a few good plays in the outfield, but if you look at his average, he's hitting .235. He only had the 1 home run coming into this game. But, like I said, if you look at the metrics below, everything's red. He is playing really well. The batting run value is poor. It's 12th percentile, but it should correct itself. Like, he's chasing a lot, sure. He's whiffing pretty low, actually, for his thing, but he's not striking out. He's not walking, but he's also not striking out. So he's willing to chase, but he's also making contact. When he chases, his bat speed's up. He's squaring the ball up more. Hard hit percentage, barrel percentage, all of that's up. He's hitting the ball in the 92nd percentile. His expected slugging is 94th percentile. And if you look at it, right now, his slugging percentage, after today, I mean, he added a home run and I think a double to it. I know he had 2 hits. And there were a lot of hits in this game to keep up with, so excuse me on that. But he added a home run. It's still 3, slugging percentage of 373, and they expect his slugging percentage to be 200 points higher than that, judging based off the metrics. So I picked Michael Harris to be a breakout candidate, to really be in the MVP conversation. Like, not win it, but to have votes there in, 8th, 10th place, just to see. Because he is fully capable of that with his athletic ability. And I love what I'm seeing right now from Michael Harris. I think Tim Hires really has done something with him, just being able to hit the ball hard, keeping his swings level, not striking out near as much as he used to. So Harris goes yard, center field, and he just blistered a pitch, and this was off of the reliever at this time, so nothing that Cleveland could do about it, and that's their 6 runs. Excuse me, who reached for him? Dominic Smith. Dominic Smith had a really good game as well here today. He had a multi-hit game for Atlanta, so he hasn't, I don't think he's played recently. I think he had 2 or 3 games off against Anaheim, but a really good game to start this series for Dominic Smith and really the entire Braves offense, not named Mike Yastrzemski. Mike Yastrzemski, the only Brave today without a hit, and really he's one of the few Braves to not have multiple hits. So Atlanta absolutely squared off on Cleveland, but especially on the bullpen, and then Sassoni his 3rd time through the order. They were able to touch up Sassoni a little bit. They got the 1 run. It was a Acuna RBI. So you've got to be happy about that. It was Ronald Acuna Jr. in the 3rd. It was just a really hard hit ball up the middle of the field. Split second and shortstop pretty well, and then Dominic Smith scores. Michael Harris was on base and moved him up, and the Braves seemed to be able to hit tonight with runners on and runners in scoring position. They were very opportunistic. They did have 15 hits, but they all came when it mattered, it felt like. Like half of those came in the 6th inning, and the Braves just seemed to have, I don't know what it is, but if you've watched the Braves during this particular run since 2019, or I guess 2018 actually, got to get your years right. But since 2018, since Acuna and Ozzie really started this thing for Atlanta, they have had an it factor on offense. And I don't think that that's ever been more apparent than in 2023, when they were probably the best offense to never win a World Series. And they have been struggling to get back to that. I think losing in 23 really hurt this team. We don't know how we can play better than this, and we lost. And so I think they actually, instead of maybe making small adjustments, they made too big of adjustments, and it really hurt them in 24 and 25. 24 more so due to injury. 25, they just really never had it. Even when Acuna got back, I mean, the starting pitching went down, but still not a good situation for Atlanta. It feels like this team, they've gone through some droughts against some good starting pitchers, don't get me wrong, but they abuse bullpens. They really, really will get into your bullpen and make it very difficult to pitch against them for 3 games. Or 4 games in the case of Arizona. So you have to pray your starter has a good night. And the Cleveland starter, I keep mispronouncing his name. I apologize. These are American League guys. Ciccone? Ciccone. We're going to go with Ciccone. Ciccone, 5 1/3 innings pitched tonight. But like I said, third time through the order, trying to squeeze off a little more juice out of that orange. And curveball, 69 inside Acuna. Bam, tie game. He probably should have left the game after that, but he had a good enough performance at that. Let's let him face Drake Baldwin. Well, yeah, but Drake Baldwin's hitting everyone hard right now. Olson's okay. You can get Olson out. No, you cannot. Stephen Vogt left his starting pitcher in a little bit too long in the 6th inning. It didn't matter. Festa gave up the home run to Michael Harris. He got touched up. And so did every other reliever not named Colby Allard, Braves legend, by the way, out of the Cleveland pen. Because Palat also, in an inning pitch, gave up 2 hits, 2 runs, and 2 walks. The Braves were seeing the ball like a beach ball after the 6th inning tonight. And that is a very encouraging sign because this is a game they would have lost last year. It is a game they would have lost in 2024. So, if you are a Braves fan like I am, you have to look at this result against a really good Cleveland team and say, well, we might be back. And I say that a lot. I do say it a lot. And I know Braves fans are like, oh, we're back. It's so over. We're back. It's so over. The Braves fan base is so notorious for just being wishy-washy. But there are signs here that the Braves are doing stuff that they have not done since 2023. Not to that level. Not yet, at least. They don't have the depth, especially with Ha-Seong Kim and Sean Murphy out, to do this every night. I do think that Dominic Smith and Mauricio Dubon have done a fantastic job of filling in their absence. And I think one of those, I would not be shocked if there's a platoon in left field when Ha-Seong Kim comes back between, Dominic Smith and Dubon. But I don't know. I think Atlanta is cooking something. And if they can somehow find a way to win this series against Cleveland, win against Miami, I think they're going to be off to the races. And that we set out at the beginning of the year that the Braves have to take advantage of these first 3 weeks against lesser opponents. I think the Athletics are better than everyone's given them credit for right now. I think the same thing with the Angels. The Royals are going to get it together. They're statistically also very unlucky. And the Diamondbacks are the Diamondbacks. Cleveland, one of the best teams in the league. Marlins are overperforming. Or maybe not even overperforming. I think they're just overperforming expectations. But I think that team is fully capable of going out there and maybe not winning the NL East, but definitely pushing for the NL East this year. So win these first 3 series and go up to Philadelphia ready for a war to set the tone in the division race early. And so far, outside of a 3-game losing streak that was kind of weird, the Braves have done their job. Let's go to the other side of the ball. Let's talk about Bryce Elder, who was the Major League Baseball ERA leader coming into this game. He is no longer the Major League Baseball ERA leader. Let's talk about it. So, Bryce Elder's line tonight will not give you the full story. He went 4 2/3 innings pitched, 4 hits given up, 3 walks, 2 runs, both of them earned, only striking out 3, and the 1 home run to... Who did he give it up to? Because I remember it was Manzardo. Manzardo absolutely crushed one into center. That was actually, despite Olson going on top of the chop house, that was about 15 feet further. So, just an absolute moonshot about where it's not quite as far as where O'Neal Cruz hit it in the home run derby, but same spot in the ballpark. Just left one up a little bit too much, and Manzardo crushed it. That was in the 4th inning. Elder runs into trouble in the 5th. And I'll be honest, I don't think Bryce Elder had it very well tonight. But this is a game in the past, because we've seen this with Bryce Elder, where he'll go on like a 2 or 3 really good start streak, and then the next 2 times out, he's terrible. Gets sent down to Gwinnett, figures it out, comes back up, is pretty decent, and then sucks again. So this is a night where I think last year, Elder would have given up more than 2 earned runs. His stuff was just not working for him tonight. He could not locate a lot of his off-speed stuff, so he was missing a lot of glove side tonight. It was very odd, and they ran out of the 9 batters, 8 of them were lefties. So Bryce Elder coming into this game, his splits against left-handers were good, but part of that's just because he hasn't seen a ton of them. So Cleveland stacked the lineup tonight with lefties, and maybe that's the book on Bryce Elder, that he just can't pitch well to lefties when he's having to see them every at-bat. But considering what his stuff was tonight, which I think Elder's stuff is not plus. He needs to be able to locate his pitches, and tonight he was not able to do that. He still gives you 4 2/3. He did leave the game with the bases loaded, but Aaron Bummer comes in and cleans that up. So, like I said, he gives up the 1 home run to Manzardo, but gets Naylor to ground out, and then Angel Martinez, he singled to left to Yastrzemski, then steals second. Not anything Baldwin can do, just a really good jump by Martinez. A walk to Rocchio, and then Stephen Kwan slaps one the other way to Mike Yastrzemski. Yastrzemski, I think, actually, Martinez was slowing at third. I think he was going to stay. If not, I think Yastrzemski would have had him. What ends up happening is Yastrzemski bobbles the ground ball to him. It gets caught in the heel of his glove. He never actually had possession. So when he went to transfer, the ball just hit the ground. And Martinez advances to score. It would not have mattered. They would have found, the walk after would have scored him anyways. Because that would have made, because the bases would have been loaded. Everyone would have just gone back a base. Bases loaded, walk would have scored him anyways. So it counts as an earned run for Elder. I would have liked to see Yastrzemski just make a competent throw and do it. He had a bad night tonight, Mike Yastrzemski. We'll probably talk about it if it continues, because I almost talked about it on the podcast yesterday, but it is what it is. Gets the walk, but then 1 out, bases loaded. You've already given up the lead. One of the best players in baseball comes out, and you throw him a backdoor sinker. Oh, not even backdoor sinker because it's a lefty. A sinker runs in. You've got Jose Ramirez making the stank face as he strikes out right through it. And then that was when Walt Weiss came with the hook and brought Aaron Bummer into this game. He got Kyle Manzardo to pop out to Dubon, and that was it for Bryce Elder and his line tonight. And like I said, Elder did not have his stuff. It was not a really good night for Elder, but if this is his bad game, then you take it 100% of the time. This is your number 4 starter right now. He's going to get demoted to your number 5 starter in possibly a week. So you take what you can get from Bryce Elder and you move along. And he worked a lot with Greg Maddux. I think that Atlanta's new staff with pitching has reflected really up and down the entire staff, but Bryce Elder is the standout. he has improved tremendously from where he was last year. And I think that the Braves are already really good at developing pitching. But if they are able to do this with someone like Bryce Elder, like Jeremy Hefner deserves all the credit. Him and Greg Maddux. And really Bryce Elder for the ability to go in, humble himself, and change up what he was doing. It wasn't working for him. Comes out, develops the cutter, and it's been his best pitch to start the season. So, good for Bryce Elder. Good for Atlanta. I want to talk about the bullpen. I said bullpen blow up. It's kind of. It was really just a rare moment of weakness for the Atlanta bullpen, which is still elite. They covered 5 1/3 tonight of baseball. Yeah, 5 1/3 for the Atlanta bullpen. And they used 6 pitchers to get it done. So that was the rare kind of moment of weakness. And if you look outside of Jose Suarez, who I'm going to get to in a minute, the Braves only allowed 1 base runner. So Jose Suarez had a walk and 3 hits allowed in 2/3 of an inning. And so if we were talking about, well, there's one, it's probably Perez versus Suarez in the conversation of who is the last pitcher on this roster when Strider comes back. I think Jose Suarez dug himself into a hole tonight. He did not look good. His ERA is ballooned now up to 9.95, by far the worst on the team. And just not a ton that you can say. He gave up he was walking people, he got himself into bad counts, and he got hit hard. I understand that this game was out of hand at that point, and Atlanta ended up adding on. So giving up 3 runs in the 7th inning, I believe, 7th inning, didn't turn out to be a huge deal because, like I said, Atlanta added on. But I think he stayed in this game a little bit too long. As much as you don't want to use another reliever, it was necessary. Payamps comes in, cleans it up. And, it was the top of the 8th when Jose Suarez came in. And he gave up the double to DeLauder, who's having a phenomenal start to his career in the bigs. His second double, he only has 2 of those because every other hit ball he's hit hard has left the ballpark so far. So he gets Jose Ramirez, but even the line out from Jose there was hit really hard to Michael. Gets Manzardo swinging, but after that he just could not get out of it. Hoskins line drive to left. Brito single, and then a walk to David Fry. That ends up loading the bases. And Angel Martinez, just a bloop single into center field. And nothing can be done about it. Payamps comes in after that and shuts down just a nice shallow pop-up to Michael Harris. Gets it done. Nothing doing in the 9th against Beto, who he gave up the 1 walk, which he challenged, and on a 3-0 count, put his head on his head, and it was the closest non-strike you will see all season. Broadcast said you couldn't put a piece of paper between it, the zone and the ball, and I think they were correct. So, Beto, but immediately erases it with a double play. Very impressed with Oswaldo Beto so far this season with a 1.29 ERA. Not bad for a waiver pickup in the end of spring training. So the Braves bullpen still elite. Jose Suarez right now looking like the odd man out. But that's not a decision for me to make. And we'll see how Martin Perez does tomorrow. But wrapping up this game here, we got to name a player of the game. When the Braves score 11, I'm going to lean toward it being a hitter. And there's a lot of options. I mean, Acuna had 2 hits tonight, including his first home run. Baldwin, 2 hits as always. Olson, only 1 hit. So Olson is only one of 3 Braves to have 2 hit or to not have 2 hits or more in this game. It was him, Albies, and Yastrzemski. Yastrzemski went hitless. I think I have to give it to Dominic Smith, though. 3-hit night, and he scored twice. He got the Braves on the board with his run off of Acuna's hard-hit single in the 3rd inning, and just a tough at-bat all around for Dominic Smith, who seems to be a very good pickup for Atlanta. A guy that the Mets let go, and he's thriving with the Braves. So Dominic Smith is your player of the game. I think that's not who you expected I was going to go with, but 18 batters reached, or 18 base runners tonight for Atlanta, just hits and walks there. Can't remember if anyone was hit by a pitch. Let me look at that real quick. Nope, no hit by a pitch. So 18 base runners tonight for Atlanta. That will almost always play. If you can get 18 guys on the bags, unless you have a terrible night hitting with runners in scoring position, that should get it done. It does tonight for Atlanta. They give up 5, but they score 11. And this Braves team is finding new ways to win any given night. You might tune in one night and it's a pitching battle. You might tune in another one and it's a shootout. You might come in and it's the 9th inning and the Braves are down 2-0. It doesn't matter because they're going to hit a grand slam in the 9th inning. Atlanta is on a roll right now offensively. This is 3 straight games now. 7 runs, 8 runs, and now 11 runs for Atlanta against some pretty good pitchers that they've seen from Los Angeles and Cleveland thus far. Speaking of pretty good pitchers, we have to look at tomorrow's matchup, and this one, I believe, also on Braves Vision. So I know the Sunday game is the new Sunday Night Baseball, but yes, on Braves Vision, Martin Perez is going to get the start for Atlanta, the left-hander. So we saw tonight Cleveland stacked the lineup with lefties. We'll see how the lineup looks tomorrow. So I know a lot of, an unnaturally large amount of Cleveland's lineup is left-handed. We'll see how they line up tomorrow against Perez. If it is the natural kind of everyday lineup for them, or if they pull out something else to go against a lefty. And facing Martin Perez, Parker Messick. Messick? They're killing me with the names so far this year. Another lefty, so the Braves so far kill lefty starters. So I'm very interested to see how he fares. So far, his ERA on the season, in 2 games, both started, 11 innings pitched, 11 strikeouts, a whip of .91, his ERA .82. And that's against 2 good teams in the Chicago Cubs, who he went 5 innings against. 2 hits, 1 earned run allowed, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts, and then last time out against the Los Angeles Dodgers, 6 innings pitched, 5 hits given up, 5 strikeouts, no earned runs, no walks. So that'll do it for tonight, as the Braves are going to sleep well tonight and get ready for Parker Messick in the morning. So I think that'll wrap us up, as this has been a long recap. There's been a lot to recap. And if you did stick around this far, I thank you for one. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for sticking around and listening to me. But second off, if you did stick around this far and enjoyed this, please leave a like on the video. I'm a really small channel. It helps me out more than you could ever know. And if you enjoy content like this, I do a Braves recap basically every night. If it's not out that night, it should be out early the next day, because sometimes I have to work at night during the games. It's complicated, but I always watch them before I make a recap, just so you know. I'm not a box score watcher. But I'll always have a recap out for you. I've got a NASCAR podcast I do twice a week. I've got a Braves podcast that's weekly now, that we just dropped a new episode today. So if you enjoy it, subscribe to my channel, leave a like. share with a buddy. It really does help me out. So, but until tomorrow, the Braves won 11-5. And I'm Caden Sturgis, and I'm here to tell you, peace out and chop on.